Welcome back to ILTV on the Hour. We're live from Israel, bringing you the biggest headlines of the last hour. I'm Devo Klein, and here is your roundup of the latest updates coming out of the region. U.S. Vice President JD Vance is due to leave Israel at this hour after his two-day visit to discuss the Gaza ceasefire implementation and the advancement of Trump's Gaza peace plan. 3 hours after Vance's departure, U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio is due to land in Israel at the start of his two-day visit, also focused on Gaza. Speaking to press ahead of his departure, Rubio had this to say.
It's important, in particular over the next couple of weeks, that we keep the ceasefire together. The Vice President is there now, and he'll be returning tomorrow and has great reports on the progress we made, but there's more work to be done, and we know that, so the first couple of weeks are going to be key. And then the work will begin of sort of building out the permanent process, of the going to the UN potentially and getting the international mandate, building the international defense security forces. So there's a lot of work to be done, but we certainly wanted to make sure that we were there and ensuring that we had the right people in place at the coordination center, which is key to holding this all together.
Rubio's visit follows that of Vance, of Witkoff and Kushner, and even that of Trump himself, who was last in Israel just last week. Speaking on the consistency of administration visits to Israel, Rubio said this.
We think it's important for the first 7 to 10 days over the next week that we had senior level administration officials on the ground working to make sure this was all coming together. So obviously Steve and Jared have been there for most of the week. They've now moved to some other countries they've been meeting with in the region. The Vice President will be there through tomorrow, and then I'll have a chance to be there. But this is a big priority. This was a historic peace deal that President Trump delivered on, and now we have to make sure that it continues and that we continue to build upon it.
And meanwhile, in Jerusalem, the Knesset has passed 2 opposition bills in the preliminary reading phase to apply Israeli sovereignty in Judea and Samaria. One bill seeks to annex Ma'ale Adumim, an Israeli city southeast of Jerusalem, and the other covers all Judea and Samaria settlements. The vote for all settlements passed by a narrow margin of 25 to 24, following a heated discussion in the Knesset. It will now be transferred to the Knesset's Foreign Affairs and Defense Committee, where it will need to be brought up for discussion before undergoing a second and third vote. The opposition claimed victory, saying they exposed divisions within the coalition, highlighting the deep political splits over Judea and Samaria annexation. But the vote was conducted at the same time as the visit of JD Vance to Israel, a move that Netanyahu strictly opposed. According to reports, Netanyahu is striving to achieve Israeli sovereignty, but only with the backing of Washington. An unlikely occurrence at this point in time, as Rubio commented also on the issue of a bill. Have a listen.
What do you make of the Israeli parliament moving forward on potential annexation of the West Bank? Right as
well, that's a vote in there. Yeah, that's a vote in the Knesset. But obviously, I think the president's made clear that's not something we'd be supportive of right now, and we think it's even threatening to the peace deal. So they're a democracy. They're going to have their votes. People are going to take these positions. But at this time, it's something that we think it might be counterproductive.
The bill has no operational or legislative consequences just yet. And the World Court is now demanding that Israel work with UNRWA, the UN relief agency that is supposed to help Palestinian refugees in the Gaza Strip. Although Israel knows of UNRWA being compromised, the ICJ is now claiming that Israel had not provided enough evidence to support the claim that UNRWA workers doubled as Hamas terrorists that took part in the October 7th massacre. Israel banned UNRWA from operating on Israeli soil after accusing some staff of participating in the attacks in 2023. But the investigation conducted to support Israel's claim had been deemed by the ICJ only as neutrally related issue. Clearly, the stockpiles of weapons found inside UNRWA buildings, the tunnel shafts, openings located by the IDF near UNRWA facilities, testimony of return hostage Emily Damari, who said her captors held her inside a UN building, and mountains of evidence supplied by the NGO UN Watch did not suffice for the IFCJ. And that is a wrap for this edition of ILTV on the Hour. I want to recommend our app by downloading that QR code on your screen. I'm Devo Klein, and thank you so much for watching.